we are live. Welcome everyone to the Coaching to Flourish podcast. And I'm your host, Raj Anderson, Executive Life Coach and Coach Assessor. And as always, I'm excited to be here with John Andrew Williams, who is the founder of Coach Training EDU. How are you, John? I know there's been storms and things or electrical challenges today. How's it going for you?
Better now that everything is now working again. It felt like it got off to an interesting start to the morning. And yeah, it's amazing how much we rely on this technology now. But I'm really grateful it's working, grateful to be here, and happy January, mid-January, everyone.
Yeah, it is. And it can be quite disruptive, can't it? As you said, we rely on technology, and when things start to go off or haywire, how do you stay grounded in those moments, John?
I don't know. I don't know how well I did. Like at a team meeting that I prepped for, I prepared stuff. And then it just went, I could barely get on with the phone. That's how it went. So I don't know. I think part of it is trying to understand, okay, so what does the mission need of me right now? Like, okay, this is happening, it's happening, here it is. How can I be useful? Is I think a question that I find myself asking a lot in situations like this. It's a lovely question. It's a grounding question. It's a question that I think orients away from my personal perspective more towards the larger mission of what we're trying to accomplish. So
I love that. How can I be useful? So I know we have some themes and things to talk about. I mentioned last week, I was super excited. There's been some fantastic workshops happening from Coach Training EDU. And I went to the Word of the Year one with Hannah, which was just beautiful.
It was amazing. It was amazing.
It was amazing. And we all know, I mean, Hannah's outstanding anyway, but she just created this fantastic environment for all of us. There was a large group of us on there. And she created this great space, with pause and an opportunity to reflect. And I mean, what was lovely for me was to just be able to be a participant. I was there being a participant and just enjoying being led through some real deep coaching, actually. So I really enjoyed it. I would encourage anyone who's listening to look out for these kinds of workshops. And I just took so much insight away from that. And I'm excited because there's another workshop coming up on Thursday with you, John. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Thank you. Yeah, I am looking at the ICF's newest accreditation with team coaching, and we're diving into the theory of team coaching, what it looks like to do coaching with a team. And then one of the questions that has come up recently from people who are asking about it is about group coaching. And what are the similarities and differences between team coaching and group coaching? And if you are interested in group coaching, like what does that look like? And I think, in looking at the ICF, like what the ICF is trying to do is provide structures and systems for if you're working with this specific population. These are the guidelines. These are best practices. And basically, when you're looking at team coaching, the main guideline is how do you treat working with a team in a similar way that you would treat working with an individual, which is empowerment. So literally, how do you empower teams? And the answer is remarkably the same. You do it through curiosity. But when you're working with a team, you have to also have a little bit more structure. And so the ICF is doing this interesting dance between it being an instructor, leading a bunch of people through a workshop like what Hannah was doing. That's like masterful group work. Where you're leading a group of people through an exercise, a common exercise, where every individual has an experience. The difference between group coaching and team coaching is team coaching would take that experience and ask, okay, how do we want to work together as a team to accomplish this common vision? When you're working with a group, it's how do you want to take what we've done together and to use it individually in your own life? So that's the key difference, but it's the same process. And then also the business aspect of it too. If you're really interested in the business aspect of team coaching, group working with groups, what are some of the best practices we've seen? What works well? That's what we're doing Thursday.
That's really helpful, John. Just listening to you and the difference between, the team coaching and the group coaching. It often gets confused, doesn't it? Like people can get those two ideas and concepts confused. Who should be coming to your workshop on Thursday? Who is it for? What type of coaches?
It's coaches who really want to stretch their coaching abilities and also open up the opportunity of adding working with a group or a team to their coach service offerings. Like that's if you ever thought, yeah, I totally want to do this, working like offering coaching to more than one person at a time. This is that, and for me, when I came at coaching, this is almost 20 years ago now, as a teacher, looking at, I was used to working with groups of people. And then I found coaching. I thought, this is amazing because it's one on one. It doesn't really exist anywhere in education where you would work one on one with someone unless you're, competing or there's something wrong. But this is different. This is a different kind of communication. Now, what's fascinating for me about taking this one-on-one coaching work and then applying it back to a group of people is, well, how do you maintain that container of what it's like to work one-on-one, but to bring that to a group, and especially to bring that to a group of people who have a common goal. And that to me is amazing when you think about we'll talk like the technology of communication that coaching offers. It's very exciting.
So, what can be the impact of either I mean, take them individually. What would you say is the impact of team coaching? Like, why is it important for us to learn about it?
Yeah, I think represents like from like a coaching field standpoint, I think what it does is it represents one of the frontiers of coaching, which is if you're looking at the coaching model that's based in curiosity and empowerment, how do you apply that to a larger group of people? That's that's interesting. You know, Another thing about team and group coaching is from a pure business standpoint. Uh, let's say you're working with a group of people and they don't want to pay for an individual coaching session. You can offer a lower rate to a larger group of people, still make a living as a coach, but and have an extra offering that more people can have access to. That matters. That has social impact. So it's not just for your sake of your business, but also how can you become a more effective coach to a larger number of people. That's what this work is about.
Yeah. I've enjoyed group coaching myself a lot, being a participant in it. Even if I think about, as I said, word of the year workshop that I was in, and we were a group and we were in deep coaching, we were individually working through and reflecting on things. Yet hearing from other people gave me light bulbs. So there was that, John calls it borrowed insight. There was that inspiration. Yeah, it also helped me with when I've been in other sessions, not feel alone. You kind of have commonality with people as well, hearing them share their vulnerabilities and their journey. Um, and I've heard that a lot from sessions that I run with groups as well. What are your thoughts on that kind of shared environment?
I love borrowed in. I mean, just the concept. I was just talking about this last night too. There was a coach I was talking with, and she was sharing her experience working with clients, how she gains a lot as a coach sometimes, working with a client thinking, "Oh, I'm in the same thing." Like, let's find out more together, that kind of experience. But yeah, I mean, the idea of, a borrowed insight is when you're a coach and you're working with a client and the client has some insight or some amazing breakthrough as a coach to take a piece of that and to apply it to your own life. It's a borrowed insight. The When you're working with a group of people, I think there's permission in this space. It's like when you see one person have a breakthrough or one person take a mental emotional risk where they make the leap, that gives permission for other people to make the same or similar leaps in their own lives. It's a really powerful thing when a skilled practitioner creates a space where that's safe to do. And there are some guidelines, I guess, that teachers, go through when you're working with, classroom management guidelines. One of the big ones, for example, is, let's say you're a teacher, you're leading a group of people, and something comes up, like, you get challenged in some way, and you feel like you have to win the group, you have to win their trust. They're asking, how are you going to take this? Because how you treat that one person who might be challenging an idea you have, or might be hard, like how you treat that one person is how the whole group is going to feel. And it's a crucial moment. It happens a lot, especially let's say we are an executive coach and you're working, you're entering a group of people and, people have interesting ideas about what it is or isn't like to work with a coach. You might get challenged right away. How you deal with that challenge is absolutely essential. And that's, for example, one of the things that we'll cover and talk about. I'm curious, Raj, in your own experience, I'm sure this happened to you. What are some of the ways that you have as an executive coach approached when people challenge you in this space or, or the field of coaching in general?
Yeah. I was thinking about that as well because I do a lot of group coaching. I do a lot of one-on-one and a lot of group coaching sessions. So less of the team, more of the group coaching, specific leadership topics. And curiosity is the biggest gift, is asking a curious question back. But also designing the alliance is really important. So if it's a program, a group coaching program that you have created or and I've created, and say we run like 6 month or 12 month group coaching programs, is making sure that there firstly is an alliance created at the beginning around that growth mindset, safe space, vulnerability, judgment. I open it out so people can add their own. But you do, I mean, it's normal to get people that resist the process
Mhm.
in the session. And I quite welcome that actually, because it expands my skills and my growth. Otherwise, it gets easy, and I find that I'm not growing. So I do want to encourage anyone who's listening and might be feeling a little bit unsure or underconfident around, I really want to do group coaching, go and check out and listen to John's session and think about the program because it's going to help you build your confidence in that. But I think ask a curious question back. That's what I do in that situation. Get really curious about that resistance, or what is it that is bringing them to that point. And I think it's not taking it personally, because it's not in that moment about me. It's not about me. It's not about my value add. And the inner critic can get into your head at that moment and think you can start thinking, oh my gosh, am I not adding value? But I think if you go from curiosity, you can release that pressure because it's not about us in that moment.
Yeah, I feel like being a teacher or a group leader, like that's huge, is not taking it personal. Like exactly what you're talking about, Raj, is like that inner work of almost welcoming it. Like, yay, here it is. Here's the challenge. Here we go. Like it's now real, everyone. We have everyone's attention. you know, are we playing or what? Like where are we at? And then I think there's an element of when the group feels you're like the leader welcome it, like what you're talking about. I feel like everyone like breathes a sigh of relief, like, okay, good. you know,
Exactly. Yeah,
they're
it's
not
well,
taking it personal. It's all gonna be okay, everyone.
yeah. Not taking it personal, letting that go, asking those curious questions back. And sometimes I've had resistors, and it might not be, as lovely as you want to ask a learning and being question. Um, I invite people in that moment and just say, well, what can we do differently? What would you
Mhm.
like to see differently? What suggestions do you have?
Yeah.
And sometimes people don't in that
I
moment.
mean, it's not their job. I mean, sometimes yes, sometimes no. I mean, I love when someone challenges or there's someone in a group who comes up and says, they will, push or see what happens, is to get on their side for a bit and say, yeah, you know, like if they have to be there, like if everyone is there because they have to be there, speak to it. Like, yes, you're here because you've been asked to be here, and not to make whoever did the asking wrong, uh, or but more just to express what is. Like, yeah, this is what's happening right now. We're here. We might as well make the most of it. Uh, or to go into even more to like, okay, so how like what do you want to get out of the next hour? Like, what would really be useful for you? And a lot of this comes into the design of even how this workshop or how the group even comes together. So a lot like we found, especially like let's say we do group training at universities. If we ask a a few very specific questions about who's going to be there, how people have been told about it, what's the process that they're being picked, like, and have avenues where we can communicate and give people enough of a heads up ahead of time. That solves so many of the hardest challenges later on that come up. It's that little bit of pre-framing, a little bit of helping people know what to expect can go miles in helping that the rest of the program is successful. So, I mean, a lot of it is the setup as well. And then when the challenge does happen with the setup, you have more things to fall back on. Say, oh yeah, remember we told you this. Like this is where it's going to go. This is why we're here. How do you want to use it?
Yeah. Yeah. What I'm hearing from you then is that reframing, the
Mhm.
setup, talking about those expectations. There is this piece around not taking it personally and letting go. And we circle back round to that question right at the beginning. You were asking yourself today, what's most useful? And even asking that simple question in the session, what would be most useful for you is so powerful. Um, so, John, I'm thinking, what if there's somebody's listening right now and they're like, oh, I really want to get into group coaching. I really want to get into team coaching. Feel like I've only just started to really get to grips with my one-on-one coaching skills. And I feel nervous about whether I should do this or not. What what words of wisdom do you have for them today?
I don't know. And just do it. I don't know. Come to the workshops, try it out. Uh, and I think the harder part, so anytime you're working with a team or group or thinking about coaching in general, I think there are two specific challenges. The first is getting your skill set, developing the skill set to do the thing, deliver an amazing product or service. I think to me that's the easy part because that's something that you can control. It's something you can practice at, and everyone has, you know, general ability to become an amazing coach, especially when you lean into curiosity. You do a lot of the fundamentals correctly. The skill sets will come. It just takes practice. So that to me, I feel like most people are very stressed about, well, am I good enough to do this? The answer is absolutely yes. It just takes practice. I've been there. I spent 2 years in, I call it coach agony of, trying to figure out, well, what was a good coaching session? How could I coach? Like, so it was painful. And I feel like a lot of what I designed in this program came out of that pain to help other people avoid the pain as best as possible. But there might not be any way around it. You got to get through the awkward coaching stage. You can do that through practice. Second problem is marketing coaching, doing the business side of group coaching. To me, that's the harder of the two problems. And understanding like what you're really offering in a group coaching session is vital. Like people also want to be connected to other people. They want to make lifelong friends, and coaching and these workshops are opportunities to do that. And so I think understanding the marketing of it, the efficacy, the guidelines that the ICF has, the theories behind it, and all of these kinds of things just offer a lot of confidence that enables you to do both of those goals with more confidence. So if you're thinking about, is this for me? Is this not for me? I hope that helps. Like if you feel like you want to offer this as part of your offering, absolutely yes. And there's a credential around it too, which is really sweet. So the ICF does have a credential specifically for team coaching. We'll explore that.
Okay, I'm excited about this one. I think I'm gonna uh, see if I can come to one of these sessions and hear more. I like the fact that you're saying, there is a credential around this as well. I would encourage people because it really does help to build that confidence, doesn't
Mhm.
it? When you know you learn that confidence, you build it in a one-on-one, but it's very different when you are in that group environment. So, is there anything else you would add in terms of the team coaching aspect? I suspect there's going to be the themes that go through it in your course, but anything else, John, you would share on differentiators around group coaching and team coaching?
Yeah, it's fascinating. I think that with when you're working with a team, well, I mean, all depends on the setup. I think when you're working with a team, the you know, how you set up the coaching differs from when you're working with a group in terms of marketing it. But the marketing is, I mean, there are similarities and differences, and I think they're actually instructional. Like that's just a really helpful thing to do when you're looking at two different, or two or three different fields, asking, what is the similarities between coaching and therapy? What are the differences between, what are those differences? When you start looking at, you know, two different fields from that standpoint, insights emerge, good things happen. Same with team and group coaching, where you understand the differences, why you would market team coaching this way, but group coaching that way, where their similarities are involved. Um, yeah, it's just a useful exercise to ask in general. We'll explore that a little bit. But I'm very interested in the business side of this because that's where I think that a lot of coaches, I've seen a lot of coaches uh, be successful. I've also seen a lot of coaches flounder, and understanding how to market this thing is, I think, half the challenge of being a successful coach.
And is that what we can coaches expect to learn some aspects around business in this
Oh yeah.
program?
Yeah. And I'm leading this one all by myself. I haven't led a course all by myself in years. So this is also a new thing for me. It's only 8 weeks too. So it's not long. I'm going to, just dip a little bit and see if I can manage doing this and keep all the other projects rolling at the same time. But I'm excited. This is something I've been planning on doing for a while. So psyched to offer it, and very, very like, eager to get this out there. I feel like I'm going to lay down some good demo, some good video for other classes to use in the future, which I may or may not lead. I probably won't lead this again all by myself if I do it. But we'll see. Never know.
So, final question for you, John. What makes this so important for you to lead and deliver this program?
I miss it. I have, when I started, I was really into coaching. I love coaching. I still do. And then training. I love training. And now I feel like I spend 95% of my time business building. And I love it kind of, but whenever I lead a class or sub a class, I'm just so like, I just feel like, yeah, like the world is going to be okay. Like this is amazing. Like coaching is mind blowing, and it's every time I just feel like this is an amazing thing that we're doing. So I'm excited to get back into that space, and I feel like the business building, website building, marketing things, like I've learned a ton, and I'm very thankful for it. And yeah, now I know a lot about business, and some really, some hard lessons, some good lessons, but really truly everything has been a useful stepping point to this point here in the furthering of the mission of bringing coaching to more people. I'm very thankful to get to this spot.
Well, thank you, John. I'm thankful for you. We are thankful as a community. I'm just excited for all these fantastic opportunities and programs that are coming as well. So, thank you for sharing that with us today.
Yeah, and thank you, Raj. It's amazing. So this is 99.
Yes, we are on our 99th Coaching to Flourish podcast.
That's fun. That's a goal. That's a significant milestone. So next week will be our 100th.
Yeah.
We may or may not have an exciting announcement. So
watch this space, everyone, and thank you for joining us. And thank you again, John and Coach Training EDU, for creating this space for me. I never ever thought really that we would get to 100 podcasts together, John, when you invited me in for the opportunity. And look at us now.
I know we did it. We did a thing. We did a thing, and it's going to continue to evolve. And I'm very excited for what's to come. Thank you, Raj. It's really fun to do this with you.
Thank you. And thank you, everyone. We will see you next week.